I think we're live.
And we are live. Let me just refresh YouTube so that, yeah. Don't think there'll be many viewers, but it's okay.
Apparently we're at 0 viewers.
Yeah. Are we on yet? Okay, yeah, we're on. We're live. Wait,
So
should I like? I'm just gonna announce on Twitter. And then, like,
go ahead, take your time.
okay. 1 second. And we oh shit. Oh, okay, cannot swear online. All right, you want to start now?
Yeah.
Okay. Why am I so nervous today? Okay. Sure, him. Nabila. It's okay. No one's like watching, so we're good.
I think there's one. Oh, maybe that's you, the one view.
I think that's me. Are you not on YouTube?
I am now.
Comments and that's 2 viewers. This is ridiculous.
This is great.
Okay, in all seriousness. Hi guys, it's Molly here, and we've got Nabila.
What's up?
Yeah, and we are here to discuss. I'm trying to do a Christine me, where she throws the book up. Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. Because this month our genre for this month is classics, and most of the Bibliomaniacs decided to vote on Sense and Sensibility, and that's what we read. And here today we're gonna be discussing it.
Because I'm an incompetent curator and reader, I have not finished the book. Actually, I only managed to get through a third of the book. So we're gonna be doing it's okay. We're doing a non-spoiler discussion today, but we have quite a number of things to talk about. So.
I actually finished it. I'm kind of proud because this is the second classic that I've ever finished. And
I'm honestly very proud of you.
Thank you so much. This is my first Austen book as well, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, okay, so I'm just gonna tell you guys the general structure of our live show for today, just so you know what to expect. And if you kind of are not really interested later, like, you don't really have to watch if you don't want to, but try and watch. I mean, like, we can be pretty entertaining, right, Nabs? Yeah, sounds so lame. Exactly. She's entertained by me. Okay, so first we're gonna have like a general opinion and like what we rated it or what I rated it, and then we're gonna talk about what was the book about and how was the writing and opinions about the characters, as well as discussing the title. And lastly, we're gonna talk about other classics and comparing it to Sense and Sensibility, or comparing with the ones that we've read anyway. So yeah, let's go into the first one, our general opinion while reading this book and our rating. Nabila, do you want to go first, since you haven't finished, but I'm pretty sure you have like a general rating, opinion.
I haven't exactly finished it, but from it was very difficult to get into, I have to admit, the first few chapters. If it wasn't for the live show or for this like book club thing, I would have like just not finished it at all.
Yeah.
But you kind of get used to it. I'm always not always, but I'm definitely fascinated by her writing and the society that it takes place. Although I did roll my eyes so many times throughout the book because some of the characters are unbearable. But yeah, I genuinely, currently it's starting to get very interesting and very scandalous. So I'm quite enjoying it at the moment. But obviously I didn't finish it, so I cannot really rate it at the moment. So yeah.
Do you think you will be finishing it even though the read along is over?
I'm definitely intrigued to see what happens, because something has taken place and I want to know how it proceeds. But if you guys are reading a classic for the first time, just get through the first few chapters, and you have to kind of get used to the language itself. I think that's the difficult part. But after that, the story gets pretty interesting.
Okay, nice. Okay, generally I thought that it was okay, let's just say before I finished it, before like the last few chapters, I was gonna rate it like a 3.5-ish. But when I finished it, I increased my rating to like a 3.8 to maybe a 4. Like I'm not really sure about the 4, but like definitely at least a 3.8 for me. And I thought that it was slow. It was slow. There's actually 3 volumes in this book. There's like volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. Volume 1 was very hard to get into, I think. Well, not
Yeah.
really. The first few chapters were actually pretty good for me, but then after those few chapters, it got a bit draggy.
Yep.
Yeah, and it starts getting more interesting in volume 2 when, like you said, all these scandalous stuff starts to happen. But then, like towards the end of volume 2 as well, it dragged a bit. So it was like interesting and then draggy for me. But volume 3 was the most entertaining, I think, because this was when all of the mystery sort of starts to wrap up and you sort of see the bigger picture of things and what Austin's really trying to teach you. And so that's why by the end of the book, I managed to increase my reading because, you know, I saw the bigger picture and I liked it, I guess. Yeah. So it's a 3.8 for me.
Cool. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty okay, surprisingly. Okay, so next, what was the book about? Now, I'm not really good at talking about this part, so I'm going to pass it on to Nabila to talk about it.
I'm not really either, but I figured I'd be less spoilery.
Yeah.
But basically, this book takes place in Old England. I don't know what year exactly. Does it ever mention what year?
But it was written in like late 1700s to like early 1800s.
So we're gonna assume that's the same time period that this book takes place as well.
Yeah, that's like 18th century, isn't it? I'm not good with this whole century thing.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Wait, no, yes. Anyways, so basically it follows this family, but specifically these 2 sisters, Eleanor and Marianne, and they are though they are somewhat similar to each other, they have different personalities. One is more sensible than the other, hence why it's called Sense and Sensibility. So Eleanor is more of a logical person, whereas Marianne is someone who is more, she follows her heart more than her mind. So it talks about love, about them falling in love with one another, and not one another.
Nabila.
It talks about their love story, how it parallels with one another. That's what I was meant to say. So yeah, I don't know if you can add anything else.
Okay, it's also about I think it has a lot about wealth and like a bit of prejudice in society as well, and expectations and things like that as well. And yeah, actually I didn't know what else to add.
That is typically what Jane Austen writes, though. I've only read Pride and Prejudice, but I've also heard about her other books as well. And it mainly talks about society and how she views the society at that specific time. And that's what she's well known for. It's very sarcastic. You can get a very, like, I don't know if you've noticed, but she gets very sarcastic at various points of the book. So it's a satire of the culture and society at that moment, I think.
I'm just trying to see if on YouTube it shows you as well as me, because I think I clicked on something. Okay, never mind. Okay, I think it works. Okay, so that's generally what the book was about. Let's talk about the writing, because as we all know, classics has its own specialty, especially in writing, in the writing style, I think. You want to talk about it first?
It's very, like, I always wonder whenever I read classics, like, whether they do actually speak like that back then. Because okay, let's just like open up and just read a sentence of
Just
their
read any random
conversation,
sentence.
okay? I am sure you think me very strange for inquiring about her in such a way, but perhaps there may be reasons I wish I might venture. Like, who speaks like that?
I know, I
For sure, it's
know.
not like, which is why I think it's so difficult for me personally to get into. It's kind of difficult to understand. Like the way they speak is very like they go about the idea. They don't exactly like just go straight to the point. They go round and round to the idea, and you have to kind of like try to figure out for yourself what they're trying to say.
Yeah. I find that at times I got lost, a bit lost into what she was really trying to say. It was easy for me to zone out, to be honest, because first of all, some of the parts were not eventful. I especially do not like the more monotonous parts, like where no one's actually having a conversation or any dialogue. That was the hardest for me to get through because I don't know, it was a bit uninteresting and just it was hard. It was hard. It was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the parts where it had conversation and dialogue, it was really engaging, and those were the parts where I found more interesting, and I could actually get back into the story, and it had a lot of character inside it as well. So I liked it a lot.
As a classic, though, I think it is actually pretty easy for you to get into and to read. Compared to other classics, because I have tried like the Bronte sisters, and that one is just really, really difficult for me to get into. But Jane Austen, her although her writing is a little bit twisty turny for my taste, her vocabulary is pretty like simple, somewhat simple vocabulary, so it's not too hard.
I have to admit though, hang on, I think I have to divert the thingy. Okay. I thought that the writing was actually easy to understand. It was just hard to get into. As in, you can understand generally what the sentence says and things. Because I've tried reading Pride and Prejudice, and it was harder to read. I don't know about you because I never learned it in like school or anything. So we never had discussions. I just tried to read a couple of chapters, but it was hard. But in this one, that's why I read like 75 pages in one go, because I was so surprised at how easy it was to read, and I think that was what kept me going, because I had such high expectations on classics that, oh my god, it's going to be hard to read and things like that, and it was actually easy to read. It's just hard to get into the story.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Okay. Yeah. Talking about that though, do you want to sort of mention anything from the plot itself?
Well, I wanted to talk about the setting and the society and the culture.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that.
So obviously the setting it takes place in the 1700s in Old England, and it is the upper class people / middle class, because they claim they were poor, but they're not really poor if they have servants and all that. Yeah. But I thought you mentioned about the whole world building part. You want to talk about that a bit?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys know, like, when you read a book that's like a fantasy or like a dystopian, it sort of has like its own characteristics like mentioned and described. That's how it felt like reading a classic, because it's not like a contemporary, it's not like in our world. In this book, it had its own system and how different social norms and things like that. So it had a lot of world building inside itself, even though it's pretty much considered as a historical fiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
It could be.
Not
really.
No, historical fiction has to be like a significant historical event. Yeah.
But maybe the setting itself might have been similar to how it was during those days. So I found that really intriguing and really interesting, because it was different from how it is now. And that is one of the things that fascinated me, I guess. And even though I did cringe here and there with some of the things that they did, because it's not in our social norm. So I found it really weird. For example, one of the characters like kept a lock of a girl's hair like and put it into a ring or something.
Like,
I don't
it
know.
was so
It was
scandalous too.
it was
And she
so
was like,
weird.
oh my gosh, he cut her hair and kept it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, if that makes you, I know, like her more. I know, but
But
it's weird to us, but it's probably a norm in those days or
yeah,
in her setting. So that's quite interesting.
yeah.
Mm.
One thing I wanted to talk about was the society and the culture of the people back then. First of all, do you know how old Marianne and Eleanor was?
Um, Marianne was 17. Eleanor is a bit older, I think.
It's like 20 or 19.
Maybe 18 or 19. 19 maybe? Yeah, they're quite young,
Okay.
but considered not that young to get married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, back then they marry at a younger age. But one thing was like they do nothing else besides socializing with one another, and I find it
Yes.
so boring. Like if I
Yes.
were to live in that period of time, I would just be bored out of my mind. They literally, from on a day-to-day basis,
They
they
go to
would
people's houses,
exactly.
and they
Then
go
they
to
play
dinner.
cards, they go to dinners, they talk, and then they exchange gossip, and then they go to more dances, and then they meet people, and then they marry, and then they have kids, and then after that they would continue on, and I find it absolutely boring.
Exhaustingly boring.
Yeah, because they literally do nothing else. They're not even like in school. I'm assuming they leave school at an earlier age, also because like they're women and all
It
that.
doesn't seem like they even go to school. I don't know.
I think recently I read, I think one of the characters mentioned that Lucy, I think, mentioned that she just got out of school at one point when she met
Ah.
somebody. So I know they go to school. I'm pretty sure they go to school, but especially being women, they are more expected to just like stay at home and cook and clean and knit and all of these like social norms for women. But I think it shows a lot how society has developed from the 18th century to the 21st century. Because if that was me right now, I'd be so bored.
I don't know what I do. I'm probably one of those like rebellious girls doing
Yeah, I would be
exploring
seen as
and
so rebellious
I don't
because
know,
I
right?
find it so boring.
Yeah. But okay. Oh well. Also, it just came to mind. I wanted to mention that I found it kind of difficult to keep track of the characters and their relation to each other. I don't know if you had trouble, or maybe because you had to read a bit more to get like more characters in there, but I found it a bit
Kind
hard. Like for
Yeah,
example,
go ahead.
there's Dashwood, like their last name is Dashwood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like a Mrs. Dashwood, and then there's like a Mrs. John Dashwood, and there's so many. Yeah, I get so confused by how Austen mentions her characters. Like at times I'm not sure which one is which, and
Yeah,
that gets
because they
me
don't
really
usually go
confused.
on a first name basis. They're usually like very formal with one another.
Yeah. I guess it just takes a bit of getting used to in most classics, probably, or just Jane Austen's books, maybe.
Well, back then, family was also very important. Like your name carried a lot of value in the society.
I see.
So it's probably that as well. It's probably like and also like I think at one point somebody called Marianne, and they were like, oh, they're now on a first name basis. It's like it's a big
Ah.
deal. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Otherwise, I'll be calling her Miss Dashwood, right?
Yeah, Miss
I
Dashwood.
see. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But I guess because sometimes I zone out, so I might miss like the important parts where it said this person is related to this person because of this, you know?
Yeah.
Because what I had to do was I had to Wikipedia the plot, and that's how I figured out. Oh, this person is this person's neighbor, and this person is this person's cousin, and friend, and things like that. I wasn't sure who was who. I was like, who is this Mrs. Jennings chick? I'm like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So even when I finished the book, I still didn't know who she was.
Mrs. Jennings is the mom of L-
Lady
Middleton.
Middleton, who is
Yeah.
the wife of Sir
Of John. Yes.
who is just like a good friend they met at the new place, right?
No, they're related. Dashwoods
Who?
and the Middleton are related.
Really?
They're distant cousins or something like
Oh
that.
my god, exactly. I missed out on these things. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
how they
that's a
got
bit
the
hard.
invitation.
That makes sense. Okay.
Mhm.
Tujala I found hard, so okay, interesting. Did you want to talk about anything else about like the society and stuff?
I wanted to talk more about like the characters, so we can
Okay,
move
so
on to that one.
that's the next part. So what did you think about the characters up to the part where you read?
Well, uh, let me tell you about the characters that annoy me to no end. First of all, there are like I feel like in this society you can categorize the types of people that you would meet. So first you have the busybody aunts, aka Mrs. Jennings, who just wants to get into everybody's business, which was really annoying. And then you have the snotty people. Wait, did I say snotty? I meant snobby. Snooty.
Oh my god.
Snooty and snobby, not snotty. Yeah, so you get the snobby people like Lady Middleton and what's the brother's name?
John.
Yeah, John Dashwood's
Yeah.
wife too.
Yeah, Fanny.
And then you get
I
like
hate Fanny.
I hate Fanny so much. And then you get like the very elegant, quiet ladies who basically like follow to the social norm and such like that. And then you have like those rebellious girls and guys, I guess. But I feel like each character is kind of one-dimensional for me. I
What
don't
does one-dimensional mean?
like it means like they don't have much depth to them.
Yeah, I
Up
agree.
until the part
Except,
that I've
okay, I see.
yeah, because I don't know. Obviously, I still have a lot to read, but at the moment, a lot of the characters are very one-dimensional. But I'm not sure what you think. So obviously, you'll have a different.
Yeah. I do think that eventually, especially in volume 3, a lot of the characters reveal themselves more. Like you kind of see what the character is really like. I mean, Austin hides a lot of things in the first 2 volumes that you don't know much about the characters, especially what are the names? How do you say his name? Willoughby. Willoughby.
Yeah.
Okay. Willoughby and Edward, especially them. I do see that in Eleanor's point of view, we sort of learn more about her. I mean, she is the main character of the story, even more than Marianne, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's more like about her than Marianne.
Yeah, so there's more depth in her character, but it's explained the most in the last 3 chapters. Memang, if you don't read it until the end, you will not see the real significance of the book, in my opinion. Like the things that you learning about the characters, especially. There's like a couple of plot twists at the end.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be like, oh, okay, did not see that coming. So that's pretty interesting. So you should definitely finish it off.
Yeah. I definitely plan on finishing it.
Yeah. So
I'm currently like audiobooking it as well because I figured that I had some spare time. Like if I walked to campus or whatever, I had some spare time. So I decided to listen to audiobook to speed up my reading progress. And it is actually like not too bad to get into. You have to obviously pay attention because I think I miss out a lot. But it's actually not bad. I think it's read by Elizabeth Keat or something like that. It's in a public domain, so you can actually find it easily. But yeah, it's read pretty well. And I think that is, she doesn't really do voices, but you can kind of differentiate, like if this person is talking and then it switches to this person, you can kind of tell, like she does make a slight distinction. So like, so yeah, it's kind of somewhat helpful, but obviously you have to like pay attention to it. You can't just like be listening to it and like do other stuff.
That might actually be helpful for me because I do find a bit of trouble going back and forth. Who's speaking and who's actually talking, saying this line several times, and not much, but like sometimes it was a bit hard.
Yeah.
So okay, I should consider audiobooking future classics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it might get boring though.
Okay. Yeah. Understand. Actually, there's actually a lot to talk about the characters, but it's gonna be really spoilerish. So
I'm sorry.
just no, it's okay. I just want everyone to keep in mind that you should read it until the end because a lot of the characters reveal themselves in the end, the true selves. So there's actually a lot to discuss about, but you'll have to finish it until the end. Yeah.
So do you think like the characters, a lot more of the characters are one-dimensional, or do you think that more characters present depths?
I think only a couple shows more depth. Especially like I mentioned before, those two guys and also Marianne and what's her name, Eleanor. Yeah. I can't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's okay. When you finish it, we gotta like talk about it.
Yes.
Or like if anyone out there has finished it and you'd like to talk about like what happens at the end,
DM Molly.
Yeah, DM me on Twitter, or if you have my number, you can WhatsApp me and things like that. I really want to talk about it. So yeah. Oh, hang on. Okay. So also I actually have a lot of opinions I asked from one of our Below Me Next members, Michelle. I forgot to mentioned this before, but she reads a lot of classics and I think she quite liked Sense and Sensibility. So I just want to tell you guys some of her opinions about it. Okay, I should have talked about this earlier, I'm so sorry. Okay, first of all, about the plot, Michelle thought that it was slow, but Austen did take her time to build up the storyline, so that was probably necessary, and that she did hint on things as the story went, like a bit by bit, and in the end it finally revealed itself. And what she liked best about the book is that Jane Austen criticized all the characters, like no one's really safe, and she showed us like I don't think this is a spoiler, but one of the characters shows excess emotion and one of the other characters is more like logical and things like that. So she tries to sort of balance it out, and like stirring that too much of either one is not actually good. So there's a lot of depth in that actually, but I quite agree because I finished the book. I quite agree with what she said, and yeah, that's basically what she said. Okay.
Another thing, like about how first of all, did you know that Jane Austen actually didn't publish this under her name first? It was anonymous. It was anonymously published, apparently.
This was her first novel, right?
Yeah. And this was anonymously published first. But anyways, what did I want to say? Like she is, when you say like she's critical about her characters and all that, that is so true. But the way she does it is very sarcastic. I think there was one part about how she was describing, what's his name? John Dashwood, and how he's like very stingy and all that. The way she describes him, if I can find it, is like very, very sarcastic. It's kind of funny. I thought it was really, really important to like her writing style. Okay, for example, when she was talking about John Dashwood, he said he was not an ill-disposed young man, unless to be rather cold-hearted and rather selfish is to be ill-disposed. And then she talks about his wife. Mrs. John Dashwood was a strong caricature of himself, more narrow-minded and selfish. So like she tries, like the way she writes it is like a positive way. It's like he's not really this person unless you consider being stingy and whatever is an ill-disposed person. So she's very sarcastic about the way she presents her characters, which I really enjoy.
Mhm.
And her irony as well.
Didn't notice that, but now that you mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. By the way, I don't know why, but I'm trying to direct the screen to your end, but it's not working.
It's okay.
Allah, why don't let the world just look at me? Or like the 3 other people watching.
So I think
Can I
Molly, don't ditch me. Oh my god. This is gonna be worse. You guys, I did not read it, so okay, there you are. I thought you ditched me. You were gone for a second. Also, I think you muted me or something. Because I cannot hear you.
Sorry, I accidentally muted Nabila. Next time you are hosting this, Nabila, I cannot do this anymore. Okay, guys. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the title, Sense and Sensibility. I just read on Wikipedia. It said that the original title was supposed to be Eleanor and Marianne. That was supposed to be like the first title, but they changed it to Sense and Sensibility to add more philosophical view depth thing, make it more deep. Yeah.
Now that you're like done with the book, what are some of like the major themes that you thought was present throughout the book?
Oh my god, I'm not good with themes. But I just wanna
I think like one of the prominent themes is like climbing in society, like society, the importance of society and family, especially in the beginning, and also like inheritance plays a really important part. For example, in the beginning of the story, I don't think this is a spoiler, but the fact that the father died and passed on the money, he was forced to pass on money to his oldest son, even though like he has 3 girls who are he has 3 girls and such. He is forced to like present it to his oldest son, and he basically entrusted him to divide the money afterwards. And so yeah, it's snowing.
Oh my god. Cool.
It's like snowing outside.
Do you want to show us?
So yeah, you can't really see it because it's like flurries.
Let's look at your view. Everyone, you gotta look at Nabila's view. It is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't really see it, but
Yeah,
it's really nice. It's okay. Oh, your
anyway,
room is so cool.
so yeah. That is one of the views that I think. Also, like mind over matter, I think, is another view. Wait, did I say
yes.
another view? Another theme. My mind is everywhere. But yeah, mind over, like basically,
Mental.
your mind versus your heart, your brain versus your heart, type of thing. Obviously, that's present in the title itself, Sense and Sensibility. So yeah.
And also, sense. Is it a spoiler if I say who's sense and who's sensibility? No, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very obvious in the beginning.
Yeah. So sense is mostly referring to Eleanor. And sensibility mostly refers to Marianne. So sense is basically like someone who has good judgment and logical and things like that. And sensibility is someone who's more emotional and follows their heart more. And it is very present in the book. And at the end as well, it made a lot of sense. Just made a pun. Never mind. Okay. Yay! So, yeah, that was pretty cool. Okay, so want to move on or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, lastly, we wanted to talk about other classics. Have you read
Junie, on the comment section mentioned that she bought To Kill a Mockingbird, but she was like scared to start it because she wasn't sure that she could understand Sense and Sensibility. And I just want to say, To Kill a Mockingbird is so much easier to read. It's shorter, the language is more straightforward, and it is more interesting for sure. So yeah, if you are. I would much rather read To Kill a Mockingbird than Sense and Sensibility. So if you're hesitant, you should definitely pick up To Kill a Mockingbird.
To Kill a Mockingbird was actually my first ever classic. It was my first one, and I finished it. I was so proud. But I highly recommend for you, if you want to start getting to classics, To Kill a Mockingbird is not a bad choice at all. People study in schools and things like that, and it has a lot of really interesting themes and characters. Honestly, it was a bit hard to get into the first few chapters, but it's very easy to get used to, and it's definitely more eventful than a book like Sense and Sensibility. And you'll enjoy. I think you'll quite enjoy it.
I read it in class, and this is one of the things that I really wanted to talk about. Reading classics in class versus reading it on your own. I think like in class you discuss more about like the themes and motives and all of that, and I think from like discussions you gain more of an understanding of the book itself, which I really appreciate. So I think there are certain books, for like Shakespeare, I would not be able to read on my own whatsoever. Yeah. Jane Austen, to a certain extent, I think I can read it on my own, though I think I would appreciate it more if I was reading it. Like, obviously, I enjoy reading it now that there's somebody, even though I am so behind on reading it. But, and also, one example was The Great Gatsby. A lot of people enjoyed it, and people that I talked to enjoyed it because they study in class and whatnot. I didn't, because I just didn't understand like all the symbols and the motives and all of that. So I think it is very important if you want to read classics and you're still like hesitant or new to it. I think it is a good thing to kind of have somebody to buddy read it with.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wait, you went to international school, right?
Yes.
No wonder. In Malaysia, if you try to read a book like this, nobody is gonna get an A in English. Okay, not nobody lah, but like people are gonna really struggle. Like, do you know the literature that we learn in school in Malaysia?
No. No.
It's like 5th grade.
Really? What classics do you guys read?
What was it? I'm pretty sure there was one. Robinson Crusoe was one, but I didn't read that one. Which one did I read?
How many did you read? I read so many.
I read The Phantom of Opera, but it was like a really short version of it. Or was it a play? Was it? No, it was like no, I can't remember lah, but it wasn't like the actual novel, you know. Oh no,
Yeah.
it was a novel, but like they made it shorter, I think.
How many did you learn? Like, how many classics did you read?
It wasn't a lot. It was like 1 per year.
I literally read 5 a semester. 5, 6.
Oh my god.
5 or 6 a semester.
That's amazing.
So I've read some stuff that were like really, really difficult. Like Beowulf. Beowulf was the worst.
Damn.
I barely finished that one. I didn't. Well, the story was pretty interesting, but the language and like all of the motifs and symbols and all of that was just really difficult to get into. But then we also did modern classics in school. So we had To Kill a Mockingbird is considered a modern classic.
I see.
I think we also read snippets of 1984. That one was mainly for like an.
Oh my god, best new.
Yeah.
I mean, like when coming from someone who would love to have those in English classes, but we don't. But I think I can understand why they don't introduce these kind of literature, because the level of English is not parallel to the level that most Malaysians are at. I think that's why they go for like easier kind of reads and things like that. So if we had better standards of English, I think that would be really interesting to learn.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think they can easily incorporate books like To Kill a Mockingbird. 1984 is a dystopian. Fahrenheit 451 is also a dystopian. So like there are certain, and The Giver. Like, so there are some books
The Giver
that are like that can be like, if you like Hunger Games or like Divergent and stuff like that, you can also read certain classics that are kind of like parallel to the themes. It's just like the language might be a little different and all that. So I think it's like it is not hard to read classics necessarily. It just depends on your preference as well, and like which type of classics you pick up.
True. What's
Like,
the next classic? Oh, never mind.
If you want to pick up a fantasy, I think somebody mentioned Dracula. Somebody mentioned Dracula recently on my BBM, and they were like, it's actually like not bad to get into and all that. So you just gotta know what type of. I don't know about Frankenstein, but I'm pretty sure if you like fantasy or sci-fi and stuff like that, you might actually enjoy it as well. So cool. Yeah.
What's the next classic you would read or you're planning to read?
I really want to finish 1984 because I didn't finish it because we read like snippets of it. So that one seems pretty interesting to me.
I want to read Jane Eyre. Especially because Michelle said that it's really easy to get into.
Really? I hear the opposite. I really want to try to finish Wuthering Heights. I started Wuthering Heights a long time ago, but the Bronte sisters are really, really difficult to read, I think. And you know what? I never finished Little Women, which I am very annoyed with myself. So I really want to finish that someday. I always started it, but I never finished it.
Wow, and I really you've read a lot of classics.
I read quite a bit. But we should do like a children's classics month.
What are some titles that you're thinking of?
Well, like, I think Oliver Twist is considered one. Little Women. Peter Pan probably is considered like classic, children's classic. I don't know, but some titles, because I think that'd be interesting to compare to, especially.
Yeah,
I feel like I've been talking too much. You go talk now.
I don't know what else to say. But I actually have quite a few classics. I just haven't gotten around to like reading them. So I think I just need to find that one classic that I really enjoy. And just, I think from there I can really get into classics.
What classics do you have at the moment?
Oh, I have Persuasion, Emma.
We need to read those two together.
Yeah, we should. There's Frankenstein and Dracula, and I think
try Dracula. You might enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try Dracula as well. I was actually I watched. Do you know Books and Quills on BookTube?
I've heard of her. Yeah.
Yeah, she had this one video where she was recommending classics for people who want to start reading classics. So easy classics, and most of the titles are from that video, so that's why I have those titles. So apparently they're supposed to be easy to get into, and Sense and Sensibility was one of them, but it wasn't that easy to get into. So I'm like, okay, maybe
it's just because it's like so uneventfully boring sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, the events, like, it was nothing like action packed or something, and you're so used to reading like fantasy, especially as of late.
I just finished like 3-4 really fast-paced books. Like I could read them in one night, like 15 hours. And then suddenly I had to read this, and I'm just like, oh my god.
So yeah, I think
my flash skills go. Yeah. But like, to be fair, the font was pretty small.
Yeah, it is. Like actually pretty.
Yeah. Pretty small.
So I think that's it.
Yeah. Ooh, we finished in time. We have 2 minutes.
Yeah. So next month we are going back to YA, thank God.
Yes.
We are doing retellings. We are doing fairy tale retellings, and we are reading 1,000 Nights by E.K. Johnston.
Yay!
It's a beautiful book. I would highly recommend getting the hardcover just because it's so stunning. You can find this at Bookalicious. Do you know how much it is?
At Bookalicious, it's 45 ringgit, which is like, yes. And it's really cheap for a hardcover, especially like a super pretty, gorgeous hardback
Yeah.
because
But the
it's
words
really
are
nice.
kind of like very spaced out.
Okay, so it's actually not long, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, not really. Also, this is a retelling of 1001 Arabian Nights, if you could not guess. And I'm really excited to read it because I love The Wrath and the Dawn,
The
and
Wrath of the Dawn.
that was also 1001 Arabian Nights retelling. So yeah, get yourself the copy. Get ready to read it next month.
We will tweet when the real actual date starts. We're not sure yet.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll tweet the date for the live show. I think more people will probably be watching that one. I'm so excited. And maybe we'll even have a guest star for that one.
Yeah, hopefully.
In our live show.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. We'll have more people too.
Sorry.
Anyway, thank you so much to those who joined us with today, or if you're watching this later, thank you so much for watching and staying till the end. And we will see you guys next month.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. So I'm just gonna, how do I stop the broadcast?